Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature, the show we talk about movies past, present, and future. We're doing something that we love to do on this show. It's the name of the show. We're going back to the past, and we're going to take a look at planes, trains, and automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a John Hughes comedy starring Steve Martin and John Candy. An amazing comedic duo, and one of the reasons we're really excited to do this is because it is one of the few Thanksgiving films. There's really not enough movies about Thanksgiving. We tried to brainstorm this a little bit before the show, and I think I said like Home for the Holidays with Holly Hunter. You had one.
Oh, well, that's Fantastic Mr. Fox. But it's not really Thanksgiving, though, either.
I heard someone mention Prisoners. You all sit around with the family and watch Prisoners every Thanksgiving. I don't know. So Planes, Trains, and Automobiles seemed like the obvious choice as far as the quintessential Thanksgiving film.
Yeah, I mean, it just turned 30 this year, and this movie holds up so well. I think it's one of the best comedies of all time, in my opinion. I think it's one of the funny. I think it's just flat out. When I watched this for the first time, which wasn't actually that long ago. I think it was like last year. I think it was the first time I watched it. It's hard to admit that it's been that long, but
yeah, it was one that I didn't get turned on to until recently too. I think we watched it around the same time.
Yeah,
and it was, I think, because we were talking about this exact discussion with like, what the hell is a Thanksgiving movie and why is there none? Where's the gritty like Pilgrim story, right? Where's the harrowing survival story of the Mayflower? Come on, get on it. They never try to tap the Pilgrim market in Hollywood. Maybe they should have instead of, what they've been doing in Hollywood instead. But no, it's definitely the perfect comedy for the for 1987. It's like the perfect like archetypal comedy in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
like it's what you should expect from a comedy movie.
Well, it's replicated so much now.
Yeah,
and almost always fails too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the buddy.
Oh, what was it? Due Date would be a movie.
Yeah,
like that.
Due Date. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Where they try to put the slubbish dude with the maybe uptight dude.
What was the one with Jason Bateman too? With the but there's so many. Yeah. There's so many of them. It's not worth listening.
They're not worth our time.
They're not worth listening. Steve Martin and John Candy, and their comedy is perfect.
Yeah,
it's just everything they do. The characters are so well written too. And John Hughes kind of brings that to the table with these, because there's so much heart in these characters, and there's so much, they're really fleshed out and thought through characters.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really, dramatic moments in the film that work really, really well.
Yeah, I think that's the surprising layer with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, especially with John Candy's character. There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of heart. There's an actual emotional undercurrent to that story that's going on. You don't really realize until maybe near the end of the movie this emotional undercurrent that's really legitimately there. And then Steve Martin is always perfect at this, the neurotic, kind of comedy and kind of character,
really
uptight, character. And no one kind of does that better, or at least in a way where you still like him as Steve Martin. Because I think that it's really easy to make that come off extremely unlikable. And there's moments, I think, in this movie where he is unlikable, but he gets his a lot, and that's always fun. It's a little bit about him getting his a little bit to maybe knock him back down to earth. But he's so good at playing that character. Watching him just sort of lose his shit sometimes is some of the best parts of the movie.
It's one of the most iconic Steve Martin scenes, I think.
Yeah,
the F-bomb in the car rental store. It's kind of iconic, and it's crazy that this movie could have easily been marketed as PG.
Oh, yeah.
Except for that one scene. He drops 18 F-bombs in a 60-second time frame, and I think that's like the only language in the film.
Yeah.
So it's literally like they just gave it an R rating for that one freak out.
And this is the thing that's funny about this movie, and the commentary that's on it is just all these ways that we can get around our, planet now, around our country now, and just the funny kind of everyday things that we have to experience, at these places. And I think for the most part it really still holds up, Probably the airport stuff holds up the least.
Yeah.
The flight delays, but there's all extra wrinkles there that a movie now would throw in an airport.
This was actually inspired because this actually happened to John Hughes, sort of.
Yeah.
He was traveling. He was on a flight from New York to Chicago, and he landed in Wichita. And he was stranded there for 5 days. So, I think that's kind of funny, and that's where he got the idea from, and he ended up writing the script for it.
Yeah.
But that's just really kind of cool, it's kind of everyday thing. And they sit down and write these two characters. I think this is really, really well-written characters. And this is probably my favorite John Candy as well.
Oh, yeah, there's some, John Candy was one of those people that we just didn't get him long enough, I think. He's just so funny, and even movies that are like lesser movies, John Candy is always great. I think this is a benefit of being like a really good movie at the same time. But yeah, like them playing off each other is really perfect. He is really funny as this schlubby, shower ring
curtain ring salesman. Yeah.
I really love just his charisma though, and like he really sells the idea that he is the salesman. In some scenes, and he makes a character believable. He breathes like a really good amount of life into the character. That makes it feel like he could be somebody that you would meet on the plane.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's maybe their dogs are barking.
This is John Candy's favorite film of his too.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Found that in the trivia.
No, yeah, I definitely think that it's probably one of my favorite movies with John Candy. I need to have a John Candy marathon now, maybe, to figure it out.
In all honesty,
favorite Spaceballs. I think after rewatching.
Oh man, after rewatching that one. Sorry about that.
Anyway.
No, I think this is one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely one of the funniest films from the 80s. It's just so memorable. So many good jokes in there. The humor, there's so much good humor written in there. You got like just the physical humor, and then you got like the charisma that comes out of the two of those guys playing off each other, and then just like the stuff like the car.
Yeah.
Like that is just, it's so funny in the car. There's so many iconic moments in this movie. It's just a blast to watch every time you put it on.
Yeah, I think that, like we said earlier, it's an archetypal comedy that we see, just done ad nauseum, but all of the elements of it are done really, really well. And I think in that way, it's this really great prototypical comedy where you would almost not need to watch like half the comedy movies that ever come out, because this one just really serves that so well. But we've definitely talked a lot about the things that we liked about it. Are there any negatives that you have with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
To be honest with you, I'm pretty dry on this one. I don't have any complaints with this film.
I would say there's a couple things, just like one or two things. Sometimes it's just a little, it's 1987, but it's just a little saccharine, just a little sappy sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just heavy-handed with that stuff. They used to be really heavy-handed with that stuff. And it's not the movie's fault, but like you said, just say something that that's not holding my interest the most when I'm watching this film.
Yeah, I would say that.
But at the same time, though, like I said, the characters have so much heart, though, that it kind of evens itself out at the end of the day. But, that was kind of my only thing that I was really maybe seeing as a negative here. But all that being said then, John, what is your final grade and summary for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I'm going to keep this short. Yeah, I think Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, this is a classic comedy. It's just flat out, I think, one of the funniest films ever made. Just one of those movies I watch and you just laugh just outrageously the whole time, and it's just so, the antics and everything that goes on in this film is just so much fun. John Candy and Steve Martin, John Hughes, it's kind of the perfect thing. And I just had a blast rewatching again this weekend over the Thanksgiving holiday, and I don't know, I give this movie an A+. I think it's just hands down up there with some of the best comedies ever made.
As we were kind of saying at the beginning of the show, I think that, it's one that we both kind of recently started to watch. But I think after the second viewing, I think that it really is going to become a Thanksgiving tradition for me. It is by far the best Thanksgiving film. Holly Hunter, eat your heart out. And it really is hilarious. It's the second best John Hughes movie. And my first isn't maybe what you think, guys. But It is really one of the best things that he's ever done. One of the best John Candy movies. One of my favorite movies with Steve Martin in it. So it's definitely, if you've never seen this movie, check it out, and maybe, just maybe, it'll be your Thanksgiving tradition too. I am going to give Planes, Trains, and Automobiles an A. So we've talked about this hilarious Thanksgiving hopeful classic for you guys. Check it out and tell us what you think in the comments. If you haven't seen it, if you've already seen it, tell me what is your favorite John Hughes movie. We'll discuss that in the comments with you guys. You can find us on our Twitter at BacktoFeature, and you can comment at us on our Facebook at /BacktoFeature as well. I've been Giovanni Carlo.
And I'm John Manilow.
And we'll see you guys next time.
How may I help you?
Fucking 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 a fucking a fucking a fucking fucking.
I really don't care for the way you're speaking to me.
Fucking 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 and fucking you fucking you fucking you fucking fucking a fucking fucking